talk very quickly on how to prepare the perfect steak. I have some beautiful filet mignons here for tonight. And one of the questions always asked to me when I do cooking classes is how to make the perfect steak. Very simple solutions. You need to have a perfectly room temperature steak. Your steak has to be completely thawed out. If it is coming from the freezer, make sure that it's completely thawed out. If it's you bought it and it's in your refrigerator, bring it out. But whatever you do, bring it down to room temperature. That will help the cooking process all the way through it. So you remember when you go to the restaurant, you have a great steak, nicely crust in the top and the bottom, then inside is still cold. That's what happens. So just bring it out. Usually 30 minutes will do. And then just make sure then, stays out to room temperature, you prepare it. A lot of time also I like, depending how I make my steak, if I make with a sauce, one is a little different. But sometimes I always like to put a little salt and pepper over it, just a little bit on both sides, all around it. So when I put it on my pan, it already has some seasoning over to it. The salt has a wonderful adhesive and also makes it a crust, which is kind of salty and is absolutely wonderful. Also, if I use nothing on my skillet, I also put a little bit of olive oil over, rub them all over, cook them, and then season them later. One other thing I want you to be aware of, never use tongs or, a fork or scissors or anything with a poke, okay? Always use tongs. Always take your steak and turn it around. You don't want to have any bruising or any poking to it because the heat's gonna go through it, and that portion right there where you just poked it with your fork is going to be more cooked than the other section. So you don't really want it to have that imbalance right there. So remember, room temperature, a good 30 minutes before to it. You can season it before or after, it doesn't matter. Also, your skillet is very important. Oh, don't forget the tongue, okay? Use those to cook with it. And also depends on the skillet. I like to prepare sometimes on my large skillet right here. And what I do, I put a lot of salt in the bottom, put it on the stove and make it very, very hot. So I put my steaks on it and they sear and they get the nice little crust. And the crust, it's fantastic because it keeps the juice in. So you make sure then you just put it in, do it one side. Once you touch it with your thumb and they move a little bit, turn it over. Leave it the same amount of minutes and then just kind of pick it up and do the side. Don't forget to cook the side. Let it stand up in the pan and cook the side. What that does, it will bring unity to the cooking process inside also of your steak. And of course, if you have a regular pan, I will recommend it also. This is my favorite, the copper, which I use a lot for cooking. If you're going to be warming up a pan, make sure that the pan, at least those two can have no liquid in it, no oil or no butter, because of course it will burn, and then when you put your steak it will be sizzling all over and the smoke all over. So I usually take my two pan or whichever pan I use, I put it on the stove, let it warm up to high heat, put a little bit of oil on it, and then I cook my steak. So the oil gets the time to get warm without cooking too much and being burned. Another thing that you must remember when you do a steak, it's around 5 to 8 minutes for, actually 5 to 6 minutes for medium rare. Medium is 8 minutes and well, it's 10. I like my meat still moving, which is medium rare. So it's 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes. My family hates it, so I put my steak in last. So one other thing that people ask me is, how do you judge how you cook your steak? It's very simple. You ask everybody in the family. Whomever has the longest cooking steak, you cook that one first. You don't pull it out and then cook the other. Cook that one first, add it a minute or two, depending on how the other members of family like their steaks, a minute or 2 minutes, and then you add the other steak. If you must put them in the oven because they're too big or whatnot, and that goes with every steak, like New York, ribeye. If they are too big, sear it on the stove, turn on your oven at 375 to 400, put the pan in, so make sure that it is not a Teflon pan, it's a regular or cast enamel. Put it in the oven for less than 3 minutes, bring it out, pull it out, and then cover it. By covering and let it sit, all the juices stay in. They don't go all over the plate, but they get the time to settle and stay in your steak. So I hope this was useful to you. Obviously, if you have any question, please read it down onto the comments below and I'll get back to you. But thank you very much for listening to me today. It was a pleasure to have you in my kitchen, and have a great day. Bye.